Local main character Zepp here, and I can't believe it's finally time! I lost it. I finally lost it. I haven't slept in 3 weeks and I haven't eaten in 4. Recently, a new batch of episodes of the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's dub has been released on Hulu, and will probably be airing soon on Disney XD. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's is quite the divisive series because, well, unlike a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, it's good. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Duel Masters, GX is a show that I think everyone should watch, 5Ds is the modern-day Das Kapital, Zale has Ray, but as soon as you get after that, you get into Arc 5, which had a good beginning, and it had a second half moving on. Reigns is a show that I dropped, and that's pretty much it. But Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's is an incredible series. It is easily the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Content that has been put out in, a great many number of years. The reason why people dislike it, other than the art style, is because it uses a new system of rules called Rush Duels, which is different from the Yu-Gi-Oh! You know because it's playable and a child could understand it. During the writing of Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns, the longtime compositioner of the duels in the series, who had been working on the series since Duel Masters, had trouble making the duels work. Some decks were just better than others. Salamangreat was particularly hard to make bad as a meta deck going up against anime nonsense. That and the game was pretty complex by that point, so it was hard to write around all of this and still make the duels understandable to a child audience. So at this point, the Konami slave drivers probably went to their overworked employees and started hatching a new plan. And that plan was to copy someone who copied them, who was copying someone else at the same time that Yu-Gi-Oh! Also copied in the beginning, and then everyone else copied. I'm talking about Duel Masters. Yu-Gi-Oh! Needed to compete with Duel Masters. Duel Masters is a long-running anime and manga series in Japan that was based off of Magic the Gathering, and was kind of a response to Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was a response to Magic the Gathering, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Didn't have a card game at the time. They just kind of promoted the concept of a card game, so in the intermittent area, they made Duel Masters, which was a Magic the Gathering-based manga series, which eventually would spin off into its own card game called Duel Masters. Duel Masters runs in Koro Comics, which means it's a shit and fart kind of show, but it also has emotional moments, and it's been running this long, so it has to be successful somehow. The attached card game is similar to Magic the Gathering in the fact that Wizards of the Coast helped design it. Now, it's like if Magic the Gathering had a bit more anime flair to it. That is to say, it's goddamn insane. Duel Masters also had a short stint in the United States, but they kinda did a joke dub of an already jokey show, and Wizards of the Coast didn't want Duel Masters to be anything but a loading ramp into Magic the Gathering and didn't really let it be its own product, and so, well, killed it off once it had its own success, so oops. But needless to say, that didn't happen in Japan, and it's one of their top card games right now, and, well, has been for the last 20 years. As Duel Masters remained being able to be correctly understood by a child and had a show that accompanied those kinds of themes, kind of, there's a lot of sodomy, and I don't want to explain that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Did not. It only got more complex. To the point in the English game, they had to introduce problem-solving card text to make the cards even readable. And that only really solves the problem sometimes because they all read like legal documents. The worst case being Dark World Snow, which, unless if you know the exact legal jargon nonsense that goes into problem-solving card text, you wouldn't be able to parse, and even if you did, you'd have trouble. Now, some people might say, oh, if you knew problem-solving card text, then it wouldn't be a problem. Well, yeah, it would be a problem. It's supposed to solve the problem. It's called problem-solving card text, but we'll not get into that. Regardless, even outside of this, Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards got naturally more complex over time because those anime boss monsters needed to do more things, and they became a laundry list of powerful effects. Or a laundry list of useless effects. No matter what, it's going to be an entire list. So as Yu-Gi-Oh! Became more inaccessible to their original target audience, kids, and to be honest, human beings without a law degree, the appeal of Duel Masters became more obvious. So in an attempt to onboard people into the main Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game and capture their target audience with the anime again, they made Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. The main crux of the show is that Yuga Odo, a local 5-year-old and hacker man, hacks into the dueling computers of Goha Corporation, the leading head of the cities that they're in, and he programmed in his own form of dueling. After Master Duels, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules that you know and don't understand became stale, he made Rush Duels. Rush Duels follow most of the rules that you know, 40 card deck, 8,000 life points, normal summon monsters to tribute summon bigger ones, except for a few differences. There's only 3 monster card zones and 3 spell card zones, so you're working with limited space. In compensation, you can normal summon any amount of times per turn, and to compensate for that, you can draw up to 5 cards every turn. It's a really fast game, and it's incredibly fun. Card effects are simplified too. Everything is a soft once per turn, meaning that if that card remains on the field, you can only use that ability once. Or at least until you summon another copy of it, somehow re-summon it, or you wait another turn. Every effect is separated into requirement, and then the effect of the ability. Spell and trap cards are written the same way, and you don't have to worry about any complex chains or spell speed or a bunch of nonsense that if you don't know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope you never learn, because those don't really exist around here. The power level of the cards is drawn way back. A lot of this stuff is weaker than Duel Monsters stuff. The game has clear design goals in mind, and it pretty much hits all of them to a T. If you can play it on any Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulator, if you're interested in Yu-Gi-Oh! At all, I highly recommend it. It also makes for more interesting duels in the anime since there's a built-in comeback mechanic, and they can essentially bring out what they need at any time and not make it seem like an ass pull. They're drawing up to 5 cards per turn, and they're milling their deck all the time, so the consistency is pretty high. These shorter duels also allow for more room for character in the episodes, and it delivers in troves. Every episode is so incredibly funny or emotionally impactful in a way that I have not seen in any Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, really. Not to say that other series don't have emotional impact, they do, but Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s has a different kind of impact. All of the members of the ensemble feel like they really matter, so you can see any character win at any time, and you get to see them working on their own goals, and it's not just the Yuga Odo show. In fact, he loses quite a lot. The show is at least popular enough to allow for roleplay toys to exist. I mean, they made a dual disc, and they haven't done that since 5Ds for like a toy grade one. It even comes with 3 promo cards, and beyond that, it comes with the kids' social security cards. Yeah, they use their social security cards in the show to beat one of the big bosses. I'm not lying, they literally turn their social security cards into trading cards. It is amazing. With all this being said, they brought over 7s. Just like every other Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, they brought it over with a dub, and honestly, this is the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Dub they've ever done, except for GX. They've also translated the Switch game, so if you want to play some Rush Duels right now and you have a Nintendo Switch, I can highly recommend. It's a single-player RPG that you can also play online games with your friends. They also have Rush Duel cards in Cross Duel, the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, which I think is pretty fun because Rush Duel cards look different from normal Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. They're redesigned to be look-atable. You can read the cards, there's no bloated text box, they have room for the art. They even have full art cards and custom treatments. And to play with these cool looking cards, they have an official mode in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron app, the official companion app for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, to play Rush Duels. Multiple English Yu-Gi-Oh! And Konami accounts also push Rush Duels in their bio, so you'd think you'd be able to go out and play it really simply. Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. Because you can't? Yeah, there's no official translation for Rush Duels. For one simple reason, they think that Speed Duels does the same thing. Speed Duels are a kind of legacy format for Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you can use old cards based off of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, which is in turn based off of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Friends anime, with that game mode being based off of the Duel Terminal, which is based off of the original Speed Duel concept, which is just a form of Yu-Gi-Oh! But smaller. And while yes, Speed Duels are fun, and they do get tournament support sometimes, I don't think they're worth using as the excuse to kill off a card game that they are actively pouring money into translating and airing toy commercials for children, essentially. That's what an anime is. And instead of reaching a new audience, they're reaching an audience that they kind of already hit with the legacy product they already released. Speed Duels are actually going to go the way of the dinosaur before they released the Battle City box, a kind of farewell capstone product and last gambit on the Speed Duel line. It included a lot of classic decks from the Battle City era of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, and included the 3 Egyptian god cards. So yeah, it was one of their best-selling products ever, and then that single-handedly saved the Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duels line, and now they release a box and a mini box every year for the line. But I don't think it's the fact that it was Speed Duels that sold the product, it's the fact that you had Yugi and Kaiba on the box. If they had released full-sized decks for all of these characters and just had them play regular Yu-Gi-Oh!, I don't think the sales would have been impacted at all. Now, Konami has officially said that the reason why they're not releasing Rush Duels in the West, even though they have the promotional material, the accompanying video game, and, well, really everything else ready, is because of Speed Duels. Speed Duels, as I've kind of outlined, don't really replace Rush Duels at all. It's a completely different game, it's just old school Yu-Gi-Oh! With less cards. Rush Duels is a new game with cohesive game design, quick and fun action, and something that everyone, kid or adult, could enjoy. Essentially, instead of allowing a chance for innovation or reaching a brand new market, or really the market they once had and now have lost, they're instead releasing legacy product that they could anyways, and they already do. So Konami is keeping from you, the consumer, a fun new way to enjoy the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. For a fun old way to enjoy the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. They're probably hoping that when they mention Rush Duels in the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's anime that kids buy Speed Duels instead and don't question why the cards are not at all similar to what they see in the show, and why they should even play with the product at all if it's not what they were advertised. So, where do we go from here to make Rush Duels hit the West? I don't know, burn down a Walmart. I don't know. Capitalism is a nightmare.